Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. Well, good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me here this morning. And let's get started with how to honor God with our body. God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over our mouths. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect our reproductive organs. God, help us to honor you with our bodies, and God, help me to honor you with my body. God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And if it's the first time you're joining us here at Unfiltered Vision News, this is something we try to say daily or just some type of inspirational scripture to get our day started off. And I just want to thank everybody who's joining me this morning. Good morning, Spud McKenzie. Thank you so much for joining. So now let's get into it. We're going to start with our trending topics on X. And the first topic is a Florida probes potassium bromate in General Mills flours. Now, there is good potassium, but there's also bad potassium. So let's check this out. So the Youth Myers office issued civil subpoenas to General Mills and Pillsbury under Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act, targeting bromated flours like Pillsbury, Potenate, high gluten flour, and gold medal products sold to bakeries and possibly schools. So potassium bromate strengthens dough, but it is classified as possibly a carcinogen by the World Health Organization and banned in the EU, Canada, and other nations. Though FDA approved in the US, it is if it decomposes during baking. Okay, the AG called it a step to protect families and provide transparency with more subpoenas possible, but no lawsuits are filed yet. So, and amen, Spud McKenzie. Well, I'm glad that they're on top of this because it's very crazy the things that they put in our food. It's like you were designed to protect us. And then this next one, it's a man, he rants against new SNAP work rules. Now, let's see. Disclaimer, he does use some spicy language in here, but only reason I'm playing the video is because it's just the sense of entitlement. Like, what do you mean? I gotta work. What do you mean? You're not gonna? So again, disclaimer, spicy language. Just want you to know he's going off in here. So man, it shows a man. So this was, I guess, back in May, but it shows the man insisting taxpayers owe him aid to feed his kids without conditions. It drew sharp backlash online, with many calling for his benefits to end and praising 2026 welfare reforms that mandate 80 hours monthly. So that's about 20 hours a week for able-bodied adults, narrowing exemptions for parents. The changes from late 2025 legislation aim to promote self-reliance amid debates over paperwork hurdles and real employment gains. So similar complaints have emerged in states like California and New York as enforcement ramps up. But see, this was, I want to say, back in the 90s. Yeah, because there was the bill passed in 96, and it was like the Worth Authorization Act or something like that. And you basically needed to work. It was, well, in California, it was called the Welfare to Work program, right? So if you were able-bodied, you could get aid at this, at the start of the program, but you had to be a part of the program. You had to be actively looking for work and getting work. And then once you got work, they didn't immediately cut off your aid. It was like they did more of a sliding scale to work, to help you get toward independence where you didn't need food stamps, right? So it was that transition, because I actually went through the program myself, so I know. But the thing about it is people have to realize that these programs were not meant to be a lifestyle. They were meant to be a bridge if you lost your job. Maybe something happened in your family and you needed to, take in a relative or something like that. You know what I mean? It's a transitional program. It is not a lifestyle program. Now, there are some people who do need it longer than others. I'm just saying there are people with disabilities. There are people in different situations, but it was never meant like, hey, let's have at least 5 kids, 5 different fathers, or, whatever. I'm just speaking from one perspective. Get on HUD, keep that house forever, and then completely be on, aid and dependent for a good 18 to 20 years. That is not what this program was meant for. It was meant to just help you. Now, I know some people, they had more than one child in California, and they would receive aid for the first child, but for the second child, they would only get a third of what the first child was getting. So you couldn't just multiply the numbers the way you used to. So things have changed in California in certain areas, but not everywhere. Not everywhere. And people need to understand that this is temporary. I know TPS was supposed to be temporary, but 16 years later, here we are. So let's get to this video of this gentleman. Like I said, spicy language. So if you have children in the room, you may not want them to hear this. Let's see, will it play for me?
I got an email from ABT. I used to get $740 a month for my 2 kids. And we're not getting EBT no more. They took the EBT. They saying I got to work 20 hours a week. I'm not working for nobody. Get the fuck out of here. This is what Americans, taxpayer, work for us. They work for me. They got to help me feed my fucking kids. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be quitters now. Y'all been helping us all this fucking time. Now y'all want to tap out. Get the fuck out of here. I want my EBT, yo. I want my EBT, and I'm not working for nobody. I'm a fucking boss. What the fuck I look like working when the government is here to help? Come on, y'all sent all that money to Iraq, Ukraine. Y'all funding all these wars. Or when it's time to help the Americans, y'all don't want to fucking help us. I need my fucking EBT, yo. I need my money, yo. I need my fucking EBT. Stop fucking playing with me, yo.
Now, it's very interesting because he does bring up the fact that, yes, we do send a lot of money to these different countries. We send billions of dollars annually to a lot of different countries around the globe. But then at the same time, he's like, yeah, the American people, y'all work for me. I'm like, okay, so is it the American people or is it, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm confused because you sound like a pimp. I'm just saying, you're just like, you work for me. What? I'm a boss. What, sir? I don't know. I don't know who was the man in your life that was the shining example. But no, it's not how this works. Because if you do not work, you do not eat. And that's just basic. But again, it is the sense of entitlement that's been developed. I'm just saying. But I know you laughing, but I'm serious. I'm serious. Like, what are we doing here? Seriously? I mean, really? And then a boy's daily waves unites neighbors after parents split. I'm not going to get into that story. But there was one that came up and then it, of course, disappeared from my highlights. But Trump to address the nation on declassified 2020 election intelligence. So the White House confirmed Trump's primetime speech, but offered no topic details, though anonymous officials told MS Now he will reveal intelligence on a foreign nation's efforts to interfere in the 2020 presidential election he lost to Joe Biden. He will appear with CIA Director John Radcliffe, acting DNI Bill Pulte, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Homeland Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. Supporters see it as a long-awaited breakthrough tied to probes like the FBI raid on Georgia's Fulton County election office, while skeptics call it recycled claims rejected by audits, recounts, and over 60 court cases that found no widespread fraud. And I know it's going to be contentious, right? But what I can say about the federal government is, do they hold secrets? Yes. Should we be told about some of these things that we would like to know about? Yes. But if the government told you everything that they were doing, your head might explode. The country would be in complete disarray. Right? It just would, because there's a lot of stuff that they do that they purposely do not tell us just to maintain order in this country. You may not like me saying that, but those are the facts. Sorry you don't like it. Now, to that end, unfortunately, because they have done so many things that have created a lot of this distrust, our government really needs to get back to alignment. It's not so much transparency that I want. I want you to really work on gaining the respect of the American people. When we ask you a question, you need to answer it to the best of your ability in an honest way. If we're in a conflict, of course, we don't want to know where all of our special operations people are. But respectfully, you can say, yes, there may be a conflict going on. And I'm okay with that, because obviously you can't broadcast everything. I'm just using an example. But there's a way to be honest without completely destroying people's trust. Because so far, the government has destroyed the trust of the American people, in my opinion. Now we're going to move on to a couple of other honorable mentions that I found. And this was one I found yesterday. So, New York's Medical Aid in Dying program, they call it MAID, is about to become active. So, Governor Kathy Hochul signed a new state law that's becoming active on August 5th, 2026, that will allow New York residents to make decisions on if they want to die. Okay. Now, they have this in Canada, it's in 14 states around the country in the United States. So, New York State's now allow doctors to kill citizens. Kathy Hochul was pretty excited about it. Watch her announcement. To provide transparency, I found all requirements for this program. So, to qualify, a person must be 18 years or older, be a New York resident, have a terminal illness that is incurable and irreversible with a prognosis of 6 months or less to live, that's confirmed by two physicians, be mentally capable of making an informed decision, make voluntary requests that includes written and at least one record oral video request, self-administer the medication, the patient takes it themselves, doctors prescribe but do not administer. So it's basically a Dr. Kevorkian. And if anybody's old enough to remember Dr. Kevorkian, this is what he did. He had a machine where a patient, if they were terminally ill, they could commit suicide. That's because that's all it is. You're killing yourself. It's suicide. It's what it is. It is what it is, right? And at that time, they were like, well, it's illegal for you to do this. So there was this whole debate. Yeah, they called him Dr. Death, right? And so there was this whole debate. He went to Congress. You can look him up. Seriously, you can look him up online talking to Congress. So at that time, they were like, nope, this is a moral issue. Unfortunately, people do in their lives every day, but the government's not going to get involved, basically, right? It's still wrong. You can't do this, Dr. Kevorkian, but people still called on him to do it. So he was arrested a couple times, back and forth. Now we're here. We're here where we have 14 states that have made it legal to do this. It is legal in Canada to do this. And what I find interesting is that it says, be mentally capable of making an informed decision. Nobody got to make an informed decision about being injected, right? You want somebody mentally capable to make an informed decision. No, this should not be promoted by our government. Like I said, people unfortunately do take their lives. When you do something like this, do you know how twisted this is about to become right now? What happens when any of these, I should say, statutes on the list becomes different? What happens when, yeah, it doesn't have to be a terminal illness. Eh, it doesn't have to be 6 months. What happens when it's that? What happens when it's no longer a voluntary request? That includes written and at least one recorded oral video request. What if people are doing this under duress? What happens when this goes sideways? Because it will, because everything else has, everything else does. This is where I say, blood is on your hands. It truly is. I want to say Illinois is one of the other states that passed this. Why would you pass such a thing? It just lets me know that the de-evolution of humanity is definitely here, because there's no respect for human life. None at all. So here's Tucker Carlson on this topic.
New York State now allows doctors to kill its citizens. Kathy Hochul was pretty excited about it. Watch her announcement.
We are now going to be making medical aid in dying available to New Yorkers. I believe we've crafted an elegant solution to a problem that people have fought for. My last thoughts were sitting in a Catholic funeral, and I heard the priest talk about being called home, and I realized we're not talking about ending life, we're about ending dying early.
We've crafted an elegant solution to the problem. Hey, I've got an idea. We can kill you. This idea came to me in church. Such a great time here at the funeral. How can more people experience this?
To give you a little more information here, this law was signed in February. It goes into effect this August 5th, so that's pretty soon. And there are eligibility requirements, and you have to meet all of these requirements. You have to be 18 years or older. You have to be a New York resident, have a terminal illness that is incurable or irreversible, and your prognosis must be of 6 months or less, confirmed by 2 physicians. You have to be deemed mentally capable of making the decision, and it has to be a voluntary request that's written and at least 1 recorded oral or audio video request. And you have to self-administer the medication. So the doctor will prescribe it, and then you have to administer it yourself. So the obvious issue with this is if you're in this situation here where you have 6 months to live, you're probably in a pretty depressed state. So you may want to end your life, but as we know, things get better. Illnesses can get better. Your mood can get better. You may not want to die in a month from now or a couple weeks from now. So I think this is just the wrong move. I don't think the government should be involved at all in allowing you to kill yourself because, again, this is also a slippery slope. You give them this, and what's to say that it doesn't become some mandatory part of Medicaid in the future?
Right. That part. What if you're like, okay, well, you know, you've reached 80. You're good. You've lived 80 years on this planet. Yeah, it's time to go. Because see, now it's a law. So they can add to it. They can add stipulations now. Disgusting. And Spud McKenzie says she said it just like that. Yeah. With a smile. Oh, wow. This is it. This is just, helping dying. It's the same thing. What's wrong with you? Okay. New York, we are praying for you. You have to put better people in leadership. We actually do have a candidate that the Redemption Party is supporting. His name is Derek Gibson. He is running for governor of New York for this upcoming election, 2026. He is supported by some other parties also in the New York area. He's going to be on the ballot again. That is Derek Gibson. Look for him, look him up, because this is failure. This isn't just losing. This is complete failure of our system as humans. When we're sitting back and we're saying, hey, this is a good thing. What happens when they say, okay, we'll put this on children, right? Because there are some children that, parents might feel like, yeah, that my kid's just a lost cause and I can't deal with them. What happens with that? Right? What happens when people need to take care of their parents, but they're working and they say, you know what? My life would be easier if, just ended my parents' life early so I can just continue on with my life. Like, it is conditioning human beings to be inhumane. It's teaching us to completely have disregard for life. It's not a slippery slope. We are down the hill. Okay, we are on the oil, down the hill, sitting looking back up at it like, how did we get here? How did we get here? And we do have opportunities to stop it. But we really need to realize what's happening and we need to stop it. We really do. We really need to stop it. Now I want to transition to Nick Shirley. He has been on one. I definitely appreciate what he's doing now. He found a healthcare clinic that received $5.5 billion from taxpayers in 2025. They claimed to serve 348 people in one day. When he asked about it, they can't give answers. Start demanding he can't film and want his ID. This is not the face of a Somalian. I just want y'all to know, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's just being racist. This is a different face right here. So fraud doesn't have an ethnicity. It is just fraud. So let's just understand that. Doesn't have an age, doesn't have an ethnicity, does not have a zip code. Okay, because it's everywhere. It's all 50 states. And it's blatant. And it's being pointed out. And a lot of these individuals that have committed a lot of this fraud, guess what? The federal government does not have to send you a dime. They can shut off everything today. And you know what? In some cases, they are. And I'm okay with that.
Annual checkup. What are the odds that the day Nick Shirley shows up to have an annual checkup? The odds of that happening are very, very slim. So you guys received $5.5 million in 2025. In your peak day, you guys have 341. Yeah, right here. So how come one day you guys had 348 beneficiaries?
No, I didn't answer. Can you give me a permit?
Yeah, we're in America.
We don't need a permit to film.
Yep, we're in America.
But do you think there is fraud taking place here inside some of these daycares, ma'am?
Yeah, she don't know what to do.
Can you give me your ID? Everybody, can you give
me your ID?
Yes, sir.
Give me your ID.
Yeah. Okay. So give each other.
You don't have to do that.
Give your ID as well.
Give me your ID first.
Nope. No. We are
I'm not going to give you my ID.
not.
My name's Nick Shirley. I have nothing to hide. For you guys' benefit, it would help if you guys. What's next? What's $5.5 million?
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Are you guys committing fraud by chance?
To give you an idea of how insane this is, they're claiming to serve 348 patients in one day. So how big of a practice would you have to serve almost 350 patients in one day? Well, the average doctor can serve about 20 to 30 patients per day. This is based on the amount of time that's in a day. So to serve 348 patients, you would need about 14 full-time doctors seeing 25 patients each. So I don't think this practice has 14 full-time doctors. So the actual facility itself would need a lot more staff. You would need about 100 people working full-time at this location to be able to serve 350 patients. You need about 15 or so physicians. You would need about 20 to 40 rooms and nurses. Front desk, you need about 8 to 15 people, and you need other support to manage this kind of facility. To give you a reference, this would be like a large urgent care facility in a major city that works with extended hours. It's just impossible. These people are very clearly stealing from us. They're very clearly committing fraud, and it sounds like they're getting over $5 million a year.
Yes. And Tracy from daycare says, little boy needs to mind his business. I'm glad he's not minding his business. I'm glad he is nosy. I love it. Let the baby do his thing. I appreciate it. Because here's the deal. They know they're committing fraud. And here's the unfortunate part. A lot of these government contracts, they are self-auditing. So there's no auditing process for this. So I just need people to understand. There's nobody like a Nick Shirley, right? Or like an Elon Musk, or like any other. Now that they have a task force, there's never been one. It has always been, you're giving your word. Gas is $15 a gallon, and they sweating people for committing fraud. Yes. Yes, we are sweating. We're sweating everybody. And I don't want gas to be $15 a gallon. My goodness. That's horrible. But there are some places in Europe that pay more than $15 a gallon. I don't think people realize that. They pay a lot more for their fuel than we do in America. They do. You have to check the records. Check the records. It's crazy. It is insane. But again, with government contracts, it is self-regulated, which means they actually say, yes, we've audited our numbers. Yes, everything looks fine. You just kind of check a box. You do that whole penalty of perjury thing, and they still push the button and send you the money without somebody before they push the button going, are there even this many people in this area? Right? Because that there is you can pull demographics from these cities to tell you like how many seniors you have, because you do driver's licenses, IDs, there's all kinds of ways, but each city, county, state, they keep demographics on their residents to the best of their ability, right? You might take a plus 100 or more, give or take. But for the most part, you can determine the amount of people that need servicing. So if you only have, let's just say, 500 people in that area that need to be serviced, but you're saying you're servicing, and I'm just breaking this down to seniors. I'm not saying like everybody in here, but I'm saying, okay, just seniors. And you're saying you're servicing 1,000 people when we know the demographic says there's only 500 people, then on your face you're committing fraud. But see, there's no one there. That's what I'm telling you guys. And there never has been anyone there going, hey, the demographics don't match up with what the paperwork says. We need to investigate this facility because it's self-auditing. So this fraud has been going on for decades, not years, decades. We're just catching up to it now because we got the baby that's nosy, and I appreciate his nosiness, Now, I did have, I know I'm a little bit over our time together, but I did want to share this short clip if it'll come in. Okay, I'm going to play this, and then we are going to keep it.
You got approached by a congressman. You said you're willing to tell the story at the UFC this weekend.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I went to the UFC fight at the White House, a congressman came up to me and he said something that I had never really thought about. And he said to me, he's like, thank you so much for your work. And I just want to let you know that because of all the fraud that you've exposed, that essentially like the war on Iran has been free because of you, because of all the money that I've helped recoup and expose, and the money that's going to be saved in the future is in $200-300 billion. Like it's in hundreds of billions of dollars. Like this will not just impact this year. It's going to keep making impacts for hopefully for the future.
That's kind of a backhanded compliment, though. Son, you saved $300 billion, and we used it for bombs. Man, good job.
Yeah,
our entire war. Son, your savings helped the Emperor build the Death Star.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but it did just put it in perspective.
No, it's great what you did. What they did with the money is their issue.
Yeah, very interesting perspective. I was like, I've never thought about that. But I mean, if you think about it, for the years to come, the changes that they're making will impact next 10 years.
Real time, uncensored.
And so I'm proud of the work that Nick has been doing, but there are other people out there that are also doing the same thing. They have different Doge divisions. We have them here in the state of Georgia in different counties. And then we actually have a state Doge as well to find fraud in this state. So it's not something where it's not everywhere. So I need people to understand that everybody's doing what they can, but everybody doesn't get to be on camera. Like Nick Shirley, everybody doesn't necessarily hear it being reported on. But I know it's happening everywhere, because when I was in Henry County, I actually got to be a part of the Henry County Doge group and really being focused on looking for fraud. I didn't find a large amount of fraud, which I was actually really happy about. I was like, okay, great. you guys aren't doing, I'm like, yay, we're spending money. I mean, there were like little things, and I think it was more like paperwork stuff, but it wasn't, millions and billions of dollars and nothing ridiculous. So I'm glad that people are doing the hard work. So shout out to Doge in Georgia and all the counties that are participating in Doge here in, again, the state of Georgia. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here for Tell It All Tuesday on Unfiltered Vision News. We'll be back tomorrow with our Women in Wellness Wednesday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.